What's going on? Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. I'm Marcus Grant with Michael F. Florio and Laquan Jones. A post-NFL draft edition of the Fantasy Cheat Sheet, which we talked about it, by the way, a lot on our most recent podcast. You can go check that out at Spotify, iTunes. Where do you guys have a spot where you particularly go to for podcasts? Do you have a special app? Or
I go to Apple.
The Apple Podcast app, just because I'm an iPhone guy.
There you go.
All right, that makes sense. So anyway, we are here to hang out with you for a little bit. If you have any questions, maybe some rookie questions, any sort of dynasty or just general fantasy questions, we will answer those. But some things that we have on our minds to talk about, because that's what we do.
Real quick.
Yes.
Before we get into that stuff,
yes.
Just want to take a quick second. Me and Laquan wanted to do a special little happy birthday to you, Marcus, because yesterday. We did it on the podcast. We wanted to do it live on this show, which has become kind of our own show. And Marcus, man, just happy birthday. I am so thankful for a little peek behind the curtain, everyone. I've told Marcus this in person. I don't think I gave Marcus even a chance. I was just like, I'm going to go to you for a bunch of stuff at work and look up to you and kind of make you my mentor without you even having a choice. And, my second day being at the NFL, you had me on the pod. You're always welcoming to new people and trying to push people, and an amazing coworker and a better friend. And just happy birthday. I hope you enjoyed yesterday, your tacos and your beer and your family time. And just thank you for everything.
Well,
absolutely, man.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. I've enjoyed working with you. I like the thing that we are building together. Plus, I like hanging out with you guys. So I'm grateful for it. I'm thankful for everybody who gave me birthday wishes yesterday and today. It was a good day. I spent too much on comic books and vinyl. I went down toward Manhattan Beach and had tacos and beer and read a little Spider-Man. Had a nice dinner with the family in the evening. And the Dodgers won. So it was a good day all around. I have no complaints.
Excellent.
Yesterday.
But Marcus, I give you praise every time I can, man. And thank you for always including me for work things, out of work things, man. And obviously, I look up to you as a mentor. I learned so much from you, bro. You have no idea. To me, to be even sitting in this spot, us meeting 3 years ago on the internet, building a genuine relationship, it's kind of wowing and amazing what goes to the great person you are, man. So, again, happy birthday to many more. Let's turn up.
All right. Thanks, guys. I do. I appreciate that.
Look at that smile.
I try to keep it quiet on my birthday. I mostly posted that because I want to make people jealous of my tacos and beer.
I was going to say, the people want to know what you were drinking on your birthday.
You know what? I was drinking a Buena Vesa. It's a nice salt and lime lager. That I had I had a carnitas taco, a carne asada taco, a shrimp taco, and a fish taco. That's it.
Man,
it was good. It was a good day. It was a really, really good day. Anyway, let's talk some football. Anyway, we went through the draft. We talked about that on our podcast on Wednesday, which you can go download wherever and listen to it. Some other sort of non-rookie type things. Zeke's back, y'all. This went from kind of being a joke. I felt like people were sort of joking about this when the offseason started. And then it became this could really, really happen to this is actually happening. Yeah. So Ezekiel Elliott is back with the Dallas Cowboys. They agreed to terms on a deal. I don't really know what to say about this, Laquan. I mean, he's not the number one running back, right? I mean, but are we still? I mean, do we believe in Rico Dowdle? I mean, how are you approaching this Cowboys backfield right now?
I'm not approaching it, to be honest.
Okay, well, there you go.
If I had to, but I think Zeke still brings in some type of spark to that offense. There's a lot of familiarity there. You know, I feel like he comes in still as the guy they're going to look to get involved in the passing game, to take the early downs. I think we're getting a little bit more watered down Zeke, so I'm not really interested for fantasy. He could be a nice little plug and play here, you know, at times when you're dealing with injuries or some type of bye week, but this is just nasty work, if I'm going to be completely honest, of they waited this long to not draft anybody to go back to where they ultimately should have went before the draft. And
I mean,
it just doesn't make sense.
This is like straight up Thanos, right? Like,
Yeah.
after all your failures, where did that leave you? Back to me. Where did right? Like, that's exactly.
just sitting on his couch, just saying it to himself.
Just straight up Thanos in this backfield. I mean, are you with Laquan, Florio? Are we just avoiding the Cowboys backfield at this point?
No, I am in. Depending on cost. Like I did a mock post NFL draft mock the other day, and I got Rico Dowdle in round 12, and Ezekiel Elliott went like 2 picks before him. So I'm like,
before Dowdle?
Yeah, this was technically before he signed as well.
Wow.
If it costs like a 5th or a 6th round pick to get these guys, sure, I'm out. But if we're talking about a 9th, 10th, 11th rounder, yeah, I'll take it. The Cowboys improved their O-line. I mean, every pick we wanted to be a running back went to the O-line. And then, look, say what you will, Jerry Jones loves Zeke, and he is going to make sure Zeke gets opportunities.
Yeah.
And last year, Zeke helped win me a championship because when Stevenson went out, Zeke was putting up solid RB2 numbers. So it's a volume thing here. I'm not willing to pay a heavy price for either one of those two, but whichever one goes cheap, and I feel like it might be Zeke because everyone in fantasy always wants the shiny new toy. I'll take the shot on him.
All right. I mean, look, I'll say this. At that price, if we're talking round 12 or later, sure, I will jump in maybe and take a swing at Zeke.
He's in and out.
What is
burger.
dead may never die.
You know what? That's true.
He's in and out burger. He's great for the value, but a little overrated. You know, like I
Ooh.
don't see it. I don't see
I'm a big in and out guy.
Susie, can we get Laquan off the screen now? Can we get Laquan, please?
I'm sorry.
We're
I
not
had
we're
to get
not
that
we're
in.
not going to start this here on this
There's
show.
a lot of
We're
players that fall in that category.
We're not doing this today. We're not doing
Look,
this today.
In and Out destroys Whataburger. I'll just put that out there.
Whataburger's awful.
Marcus is in
White
his
White
feelings.
Castle is terrible.
Oh, I do like White Castle. In and Out is better, but White Castle, when it's a late night and you're intoxicated, that's where you want to go.
That right there tells you why White Castle is terrible, because nobody's just like, man, I'm really hungry and it's noon and I'm gonna go to White Castle for lunch.
is
Like
true.
no one ever says that. It's always every person who says that is just like, yeah, man. When I'm effed up and I've been drinking for like 37 hours, like White Castle's amazing. Like,
You down
It hits.
bad.
It just hits differently at that state of mind.
Oh boy.
man. White Castle or Waffle House? I guess you guys never. Well, Florio's never been to Waffle House, so you can't really.
this
I've
summer,
been there
though.
like once or twice.
Oh, okay.
It's
All right.
Waffle
Summer,
House,
we gotta
right?
get you in there.
Waffle House for sure, 100%. 100%. See, now we have people in the we have people like standing for Whataburger in the comments.
Oh, God, what did you start?
I can't, you know. I see Hussein saying White Castle is special at 2 a.m., which really is just proving my point.
Yeah.
Five Guys is better than Shake Shack. I've never actually been to a Five Guys because I don't want to take out a personal loan. to get
Five
one.
Guys is really good, and I had it well before it was like I have family in Florida, and that's kind of I think where they started or whatever. But yeah, now it's like you get a burger and a shake, and it's like $50. I'm good.
Right. So like, I didn't have any moral stand against it. I just never went to one. And now that I see how expensive it is, I'm like, well, I'm not really all that excited.
Yeah, I'm not doing this.
They also serve it how your friends would serve you a burger at like they just take it off the grill, put it in tinfoil, and hand it to you.
I actually kind of like that part. I actually do kind of like that part. All right, some other things in the chat. Somebody's asking, how do we feel about Najee Harris? How do we feel about Najee Harris? I think I'd rather have Jalen Warren for the record, but I think both these guys are in good positions this year.
I'll go first. I like Jalen Warren better just based on cost, even though they're kind of close in drafts. I'm more of an explosive guy. I mean, we saw Najee run like he was running in wet jeans last year in most plays. So it's like I really want the guy that has a little bit more burst. And Jalen Warren actually last year did really well running outside the tackles. And with Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator, that's kind of all they ran, with his years in Atlanta. So that's going to be like a good plug-and-play spot for him.
I would go Warren of the two, but I don't. Maybe it's just because I'm scarred from last year. I had Warren on a lot of teams, and it just he'd have a good week, and then you'd plug him in your lineup, and then he would disappoint, and then you'd say I'm taking him out of my lineup, and then he'd 2 weeks later have it, and then add in the fact that the number one complaint we had with Arthur Smith was he doesn't give his guys enough volume, and now there's multiple options here. I'm just scared. I think last year just ruined it for me.
Yeah. I did take Jalen Warren in a mock draft yesterday. I did a mock draft with Jay Felicio of The Athletic and a whole bunch of really smart people. And I kind of went like a hero RB where I took Bijan Robinson in the first round. And then I waited a while. I think waited till like round 8 or 9 before I got any more running backs. And I think I got Jalen Warren in the 9th or 10th round, something like that.
Yeah, I was in that draft. You took a couple of my players that I wanted.
Yeah.
Didn't think you were interested, but you got them.
There was a lot of sniping going on all around, all over the place.
The biggest question I have is why were you mocking on your birthday?
It's funny because I think I agreed to it before I realized like what day it was. So like I was at home just like sitting on the couch, hanging out, eating sushi, and like doing a mock draft. Like it was good. It was all good.
Sounds like a good birthday.
It was all good. Question, PPR question here. Should I keep Nacua or LaPorta? I'm going to ask you this, Laquan, because I want to see if you can be unbiased here.
I would keep LaPorta. I'm going to be very unbiased here. Puka Nacua with Cooper Kupp, and then you have DeMarcus Robinson there. I really feel as though this offense is going to be complete, being that all guys are healthy. So you're not going to get that same volume, that same production out of Puka Nacua where he's putting up consistent wide receiver 1 numbers. So you got to go with Sam LaPorta, man. You got to go to the volume, and I think that, him in Detroit with Jared Goff, they're becoming best friends to a Tyler Higbee 2.0.
No, he's better than Tyler Higbee.
Absolutely.
Come on. Like, don't do that. He's better than Tyler
I'm surprised you didn't pick your boy Puka.
That's why I wanted to ask him. I wanted to see what he was going to say. So
I got to be real, man. Sometimes I go against my players. You saw the whole Cam Akers era that I was in.
I think I'd keep Puka just because Puka's awesome.
It depends on what you need, though,
Yeah. They're both great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would go LaPorta just because scarcity, I guess, at the position.
And look probably where he got LaPorta last season versus, where you got Puka off the waiver wire. Like, there's both pros there. But I think, you're going to be wanting a top-tier tight end, and you could just focus your other, positions at wide receiver, quarterback, running back, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So I guess some of it would have to do with, like, how much you're giving up in draft capital, too, like what round you're giving guys up. So that's it.
People are telling on you in the chat, Laquan.
What are they saying?
That you used to call Tyler Higbee Baby Gronk.
Oh, my God. No.
But here's the thing. There were a long list of guys that got that Baby Gronk title for years. Like, T.J. Hawkinson was Baby Gronk. They were like, I'd have to go back. There were like a whole bunch of guys that were like Baby Gronk. And it was just sort of like, it was like how we went for years and like every, two guard that was athletic was like the next Michael Jordan. And it's like, all right, man, at some point, like just stop. Let's stop, right? Like, don't compare guys to Gronk. Gronk is one of one.
Laquan meant the social media guy, Baby Gronk. Not.
Oh,
there we go.
The one that was rizzed up by Livy Dunn. That guy.
I read that and I was like, I've never felt more old in my life.
I'm like, these words, like none of these words are in the Bible. Like, I don't know what. I don't know. Had to put me on. I don't know what any of this means. Yeah. By the way, I see this from Ross. I had the first time I ever had White Castle burgers. I had the frozen ones, and I'm like, well, these aren't good, but I'm like, okay, they're frozen ones. And then I went to a real White Castle, and I had them, and they tasted exactly the same. And I'm like, oh.
The only difference is like the pickles and onions. That's it.
Okay,
there you go.
Sure. Other things. So apparently, Zay Flowers has a new number one fan, or has a number one fan. Zendaya said that her favorite NFL player is Zay Flowers. The
Why?
quote was, he just has a certain swagger to him and in the way he plays. He's so fun to watch. It's hard to imagine anyone else winning Offensive Player of the Year at this point. Like, she's giving him the OPOY. Like, wow.
Look, maybe she's a Ravens fan. She collects. None of that was like crazy. The Offensive Player of the Year, I was like, she is in deep right now with
Dude,
it.
he's about to be in Challengers
She's shooting
too.
from half court.
He's about to be in Challengers too. I'm just saying. OPOY. That's wild.
That's a wild statement there.
But you know what, man?
Not
Like,
achievable.
if Zendaya was, telling me that I was like the fantasy writer of the year, like
Yeah.
I would take it. I would post. I
Head up
would.
high.
Literally, can you pin someone else's tweet? Because I would absolutely pin that tweet. Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Zay did post because after Lamar had some fun with it, Zay posted he was like, getting her flowers isn't a bad idea, and I'm like,
right?
oh, he's getting on Spider-Man's bad side
Flowers.
now.
there.
Like this is how he becomes Venom. It is. This is how it
Pray
happens.
for Tom Holland.
Right? Pray for Tom Holland. Anyway. Maggie says she saw a mock draft where Stephon Diggs went before Michael Pittman. How are you feeling about both of those guys, Florio?
I would take Pittman over any of the Texans wide receivers right now. Nico Collins to me seems like he's going crazy high. Diggs actually kind of feels like okay, like he's going late third, something like that. Like I think that's fine for him, or late second, or I forget exactly where, but his ADP is not all like insanely high, especially compared to what it used to be. Whereas Nico Collins in this mock I did the other day, he went ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. in the early second round. And I'm like, look, Nico was great, but I just don't think the volume is like you added in a wide receiver who, as someone who has watched him and supported him for 4 years, I think I could say a little bit of a diva, who's used to getting 150, 160 targets per year, who's on a 1-year deal, who's going for the final contract of his NFL career. Yeah, I think he's going to be a little vocal about getting volume, and so which makes me question if there's going to be enough volume for any of these guys to live up to their lofty ADPs.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be like we saw last year a little bit where, we had Collins weeks, we had Dell weeks. There wasn't a lot of overlap necessarily. Now you add a third guy into the mix. And I do think this is, I was going to say where Stephon Diggs' villain arc begins, but I think his villain arc has already begun. This is sort of where it kind of goes next level as he sort of rampages through the AFC South this year. But not for nothing, Tom lost his girl to Lisan Al-Gaib. I would actually pay. I would pay American money to watch an MMA fight between Tom Holland and Timothy Chalamet. I would.
It wouldn't go well for Tom Holland, I don't think.
You don't think so? You don't think he could get Chalamet?
He's Spider-Man, man.
I mean,
is,
Chalamet's got more reach on him. He's got longer arms, I think.
He's
And
also
a little bit more reach.
huge. Not
he really?
height-wise, but jacked-wise.
Is he really? I just thought he was kind of tall, and I sense that he's tall. I just thought he was both thin, but I feel like Holland, if he can get on the inside and maybe get the fight to the ground, maybe he's got a shot there. But if it's an upright boxing match, I think Chalamet's reach is just too much for him.
I feel like Tom Holland wouldn't even throw a punch. He'd be like, nope.
I'm out. I truly did not expect today's show to go this direction at all.
At all.
Like at all today.
I guess to make it Texans receiver again, do you guys have any concerns at all? Because I saw that someone bring this point up, and I was like, that's something I hadn't considered. Like about the league adjust. Like CJ Stroud caught everyone by surprise last year. Now the league will get to watch him and stuff. Any concerns there?
I guess a little bit, but I'm just sort of buying. By the way, nice tweet there, Bo, or nice comment. I guess that's something to think about. I don't know. I just sort of have faith in what the Texans are doing and in sort of the talent there. I mean, you guys saw that video of him and Micah Parsons basically talking ball and trying to figure out like who their best 11 would be.
Yeah,
and
we
like
need a podcast of that.
What kind of plays they would run. Like that to me, I mean, like watching that, it was CJ Stroud breaking things down, like going at it literally like a 10-year vet. So I just sort of kind of believe. I understand. I mean, I understand the comment. I understand the theory, but I don't know that I buy into it necessarily.
I didn't either, but I was like, that's something I hadn't considered.
Yeah. This other story, and this I sort of hesitate to put it out there because I feel like this wasn't really real, but Jalen Warren was, I guess, on a pod. It looked like it was Cam Hayward's pod, I guess, saying that their special teams coordinator discussed the possibility of having Justin Fields return kicks under the new kickoff rules. I sort of I listened to it. I sort of took it as it was kind of a wild theory that was thrown out there, but there wasn't any real meat on that bone.
No, I hope it's not true. I hope he's just trolling and just calls in fans.
That's kind of what I
just
thought.
To crash. No.
That's kind of how I felt. I thought maybe this was just a troll, and this wasn't like a real thing, right?
I'm still so disappointed that the Raiders didn't just go get Justin Fields.
Oh yeah,
they wouldn't be playing this game,
right? I thought they were going to get Justin Fields, and then when they didn't, I think they wanted to try and make a move for Penix, but the Falcons grabbed Penix so early that it just had the Raiders shook.
Yeah.
They didn't, and so then it gets to them, at 14 or wherever they were, and Brock Bowers was still there. They're like, all right, well, let's just take Brock Bowers. And I think they can figure out how to make that work. But I do think, I think in a perfect world they would have gone to get Jaden Daniels, but I think the price was probably too high for them to go do that. And then, again, when the Falcons went early and got Penix, then it just sort of blew up what plan they might have had in Vegas, and they didn't know what to do there. So, yeah.
Prayers for Justin Fields.
Holland stuff just makes Wonka look like Bill the Butcher. Wow, nobody believes in Spider-Man. That's wild. I didn't
Great
know,
reference there, though.
I didn't know Chalamet had street cred like that. I had no idea that Chalamet had street cred like that. Speaking of fighting, did you see this video with Logan Paul borrowing Patrick Mahomes' Super Bowl rings to use as brass knuckles?
No.
I like this little marriage between WWE and NFL players showing up, man. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just out myself that I'm not a big wrestling fan, so I don't necessarily know all the particulars of all the people involved. But basically, it went badly. Logan Paul borrows the rings to try to knock out an opponent. Of course, in typical pro wrestling fashion, the opponent ducks, and Logan Paul ends up smashing into the face of one of his teammates.
Since I'm a kid, that's been the WWE way.
Hey, man, the formula has worked for 50 years. Why are we going to change it now?
I will say, Logan Paul is one heck of an athlete, man, because he stepped in from off the streets, and he was able to perform just like some of those guys at a high level. So I got to respect him. I don't know much about his internet climb, but seeing that he's coming from YouTube and then jumping in the ring to do what he's able to do, you got to respect it.
That is the way to keep it, Laquan. I give him credit for what he does as an athlete. You do not want to know the other. Speaking of the Pauls, man, look, Logan could use the rings to knock out whatever. We need Mike Tyson to knock out his brother in July.
Did you see if we've ever needed boxing rules? This is about to get ugly.
We've never needed Mike Tyson like we've needed Mike Tyson right now.
If this goes on his official record, he's not going to let this one slide. I don't care how much you're paying him.
No.
Yeah. And you've seen some of the videos, right? Like the Tyson training videos and stuff. And I'm like,
scary,
terrifying.
People were passing it off as Austin Eckler a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
when he was running.
I don't care that Mike Tyson is 57 years old. Do not care. Looks terrifying.
Yeah.
I suggest Jake Paul go back and listen to the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff classic. I think I can beat Mike Tyson. I don't know, just play it on loop, watch some old fights, man. Man, I don't know, but we need Mike Tyson to win this fight and just kind of put an end to a lot of this nonsense.
Pause.
Oh man. All right, I think that's a good spot to kind of pause here. Unless you guys want to talk about, I don't know, Zay Jones getting released or something. Zay Jones got released.
Crickets.
I'd rather talk about Tom Holland fighting other people until we find who he could be.
Let's Which young Hollywood star could Tom Holland beat in a fight? Stay tuned for the next episode of the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. Yeah, that's
great content right there.
That, and we could talk about how trash White Castle is. I don't know.
If all the Spider-Man actors fought, who wins?
Ooh.
Oh, Tobey Maguire. Toby. Yeah.
That's my personal favorite.
Yeah,
Hands down.
probably
He has an
Tobey
anger issue.
Maguire. I think Andrew Garfield taps out first.
He wants peace.
I think Andrew Garfield taps out first. I think Holland gives him the blues, and he just taps out. But Maguire's the champ for sure.
Toby for the win.
All right. I'm gonna go back and read some Miles Morales because he is the GOAT of all of them. Anyway,
you go.
gotta do it for this edition of the Cheat Sheet. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for all the activity in the comments. Chat was popping today, so we certainly appreciate that. We'll be back with you, of course, next Wednesday for another episode of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. In the meantime, enjoy the weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you again real soon.